GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning, Montreal. I'm Lauren Dupuis. Tonight we'll dive into Ville Marie's plan to breathe new life into Chinatown, plus a Quebec-backed flood risk mapping project that could protect our neighborhoods. Traffic's snarled downtown, and the St. Lawrence will host a gourmet soup cruise later. Ryan, what do you make of that?
Montreal has signed defenseman Maximilian Schubert to a one-year, two-way contract after a trade with Utah Mammoth.
The trade sent forward Joshua Roy to Utah Mammoth in exchange for Schubert, completing the player exchange.
Schubert joins the Canadiens organization, where he'll be eligible for both NHL and AHL play under the two-way agreement.
All right, let's get into it and see what's happening across the city this morning together. Here are our top stories. Ville Marie Borough announced a new initiative to revitalize Montreal's Chinatown, deploying a dedicated cleaning crew and creating a local alliance to coordinate revitalization efforts. Denis Lariviere has the full story.
The Ville Marie Borough has launched a two-part plan to breathe new life into Montreal's Chinatown. First, a dedicated cleaning crew will begin daily sweeps of the narrow streets, removing litter and graffiti that have accumulated over recent years. Second, the borough is assembling a local alliance of business owners, community groups, and heritage experts to steer a coordinated revitalization effort. Officials say the alliance will map out short-term upgrades, such as improved lighting and sidewalk repairs, while laying groundwork for longer-term initiatives aimed at attracting visitors and supporting existing shops. Chinatown, a historic enclave that once thrummed with activity, has faced a steady economic and physical decline, prompting the borough's intervention. Denis Lariviere, GMNA News, Chinatown.
Yesterday, the Communauté Métropolitaine de Montréal formally requested provincial assistance to launch a comprehensive mapping of flood risk building zones across the island. Mayor Sorja Martinez Ferrada endorsed the initiative, emphasizing that a surge in intense rainstorms has already amplified flood incidents in neighborhoods from the Plateau to Verdun. The CMM's proposal asks Quebec's government to fund and coordinate the creation of a detailed citywide flood risk database, which will guide future land use planning and emergency response. Officials say the project will integrate historic flood records, topographic data, and climate projections to pinpoint the most vulnerable structures. With climate-driven precipitation patterns intensifying, city leaders argue the map is essential for protecting residents and infrastructure before the next heavy rain event strikes. The province is expected to allocate resources within the coming months, and the CMM plans to share preliminary findings with borough councils by early next year.
Yesterday, former president and chief executive of the Montreal Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, Mitchell Leblanc, declared his entry into provincial politics, announcing he will stand as the Quebec Liberal Party candidate in the Marguerite Bourgeois riding. Leblanc, who led the chamber through a period of significant economic growth and advocacy for local businesses, said his decision reflects a commitment to bring that experience to the National Assembly. He outlined a platform focused on bolstering small business support, improving transportation infrastructure, and fostering bilingual education. Party officials confirmed his nomination will be formalized at an upcoming gathering in the riding later this month. Political analysts note the seat has been a competitive battleground in recent elections, and Leblanc's business background could reshape the contest. Voters in the West End constituency will now weigh his proposal against the incumbent's record as the campaign season ramps up.
Isle Sonic organizers say only transparent bags will be allowed at the festival this weekend, prompting criticism from ticket holders ahead of performances on August 5 and August 6. Denis Lariviere has the full story.
Festival-goers line the entry gates at Isle Sonic, clutching clear plastic pouches as security staff check bags for compliance. Organizers rolled out a new rule this week allowing only transparent bags inside the two-day event, citing safety concerns. The announcement came just days before the weekend shows, sparking a wave of complaints on social media and at the ticket booth, where several attendees reported being turned away for carrying opaque backpacks. Fans say the sudden change forces them to repack belongings or risk missing performances. Officials remain firm, reminding the crowd that the policy applies to all venues on Saturday, August 5, 2026 and Sunday, August 6, 2026. Denis Lariviere, GMNA News, Montreal.
The Quebec government announced today that its home support showcase projects are expanding to 9 additional regions, creating up to 623,000 reduced-price service hours. The move builds on an existing pilot aimed at making affordable assistance more widely available for seniors and people with disabilities. Officials said the added hours will help families access personal care, housekeeping, and other daily living help without the full market cost. The expansion covers a mix of urban and rural areas, extending the program beyond its original test sites. Health and Social Services ministers highlighted that the broader reach is intended to ease pressure on the health system and give more residents the choice to stay at home longer. The province plans to roll out the new slots over the coming months, with enrollment opening shortly after the announcement. We'll hear how a French father lost his Quebec work permit after his daughter's funeral, plus more after the break. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. An immigration lawyer says a French citizen's work permit in Quebec was revoked after he returned from his daughter's funeral. The man, who had been residing legally in the province, traveled to France for the funeral on Tuesday evening. Under Quebec's temporary resident regulations, any interruption of continuous residence triggers automatic cancellation of a work permit. Officials confirmed the revocation took effect as soon as the traveler re-entered the province. The lawyer argues the rule, which does not differentiate compassionate travel, should be revised to reflect humanitarian circumstances. No criminal charges are involved, and the man remains eligible to apply for a new permit, though the process may be lengthy. The case has drawn attention to the rigidity of Quebec's immigration framework and its impact on families facing sudden deep loss.
Montreal police have released images of an unidentified suspect linked to an attempted murder after a 49-year-old man was found injured by a sharp object in the city. The investigation continues. Marion Kate has the full story.
Police are circulating images of an unidentified suspect as they probe an attempted murder that left a 49-year-old man wounded by a sharp object. Officers say the injury was sustained on the afternoon of the 4th of August, prompting a swift investigation. Detectives have released several grainy photographs taken from nearby surveillance cameras, urging anyone with information to come forward. The victim, whose identity has not been released, was taken to a local hospital for treatment of stab-related injuries. Authorities stress the case remains active, and they continue to canvass the neighborhood for witnesses. No arrests have been made, and the police have not disclosed a motive beyond the violent assault. Marion Kate, GMNA News, Montreal.
On Tuesday, residents of the Pierrefonds Roxborough borough gathered outside the borough office demanding answers after the latest flash flood left streets submerged and homes damaged. Protesters held signs and shouted that repeated inundations over the past few years have exposed what they described as a slow and inadequate municipal response. City officials arrived later in the afternoon, stating they are reviewing the drainage infrastructure and will prioritize repairs, but offered no concrete timeline. The demonstration followed a series of heavy rain events that have strained local sewers and overwhelmed the Rivière des Prairies embankments. Community leaders said the lack of clear communication has eroded trust, urging the mayor's office to provide a detailed action plan. Police monitored the crowd, reporting no arrests or injuries. Officials pledged to release a detailed report on drainage upgrades by mid-October.
Yesterday, the Quebec Superior Court issued a temporary order that restores Air Liaison as an authorized carrier under the province's Regional Air Access Program. The court's decision follows a government move last month to strip the airline from the subsidized network after alleging false declarations in its application. The judge ruled the revocation should be paused while the matter is reviewed, allowing Air Liaison to resume eligible regional flights pending further proceedings. Officials from the court and the Provincial Transport Ministry said the order is provisional and does not constitute a final judgment on the airline's compliance. The Regional Air Access Program, which subsidizes essential links to remote communities, will continue to fund Air Liaison's routes for now, though the case remains under judicial scrutiny. Air travelers in remote regions can expect restored service while the court reviews the airline's eligibility.
Severe flooding and a landslide have struck L'Ascension in Quebec's Laurentides after heavy rain from recent storms, leaving the community battling ongoing damage. Marion Catay has the full story.
Early August rains turned L'Ascension streets into rushing rivers, sweeping away road barriers and flooding homes along the main boulevard. A sudden landslide tore into the hillside behind the elementary school, sending mud and debris down onto the parking lot and forcing residents to evacuate. Emergency crews arrived within hours, setting up temporary shelters and sandbagging vulnerable sections of the riverbank. Power outages spread across the neighborhood as downed lines were cleared. Officials say the deluge is the result of an unprecedented series of storms that have battered the Laurentides region this month, adding L'Ascension to a growing list of Quebec communities grappling with flood and landslide damage. Marion Catay, GMNA News, L'Ascension.
Now let's check the outlook for today's weather and see what's coming up.
A stagnant high-pressure ridge and a westerly jet keep Montreal dry, while temperatures climb toward mid-20s. On this date, Montreal's thermometer has swung between extremes. The all-time high of 33.8 Celsius fell in 2016 during a lingering heat wave that pushed the city into record territory for several consecutive days. Conversely, the coldest reading of 11 Celsius was logged in 2013 when an Arctic front slipped unusually far south, blanketing the region in a brief but sharp freeze. By contrast, today's climatological normals sit around 24 Celsius for the high and 15 for the low, underscoring the modest departure from average. Scanning the live radar, the map is uniformly clear from the Ottawa Valley eastward across the St. Lawrence corridor to the Adirondack border. No precipitation echoes appear, and the echo-free zone is being reinforced by the steady high-pressure ridge overhead. With the westerly jet cruising at 33 kilometers per hour, any moisture that might develop will be sheared northward before reaching the city. In short, dry air will dominate through the day. At 7, Montreal sits under a clear sky with a temperature of 16 Celsius, humidity near 90%, and a gentle southwest breeze of 5 kilometers per hour. The high-pressure ridge remains steady, while a westerly jet aloft at 33 kilometers per hour channels dry air across the province. As the sun climbs, daytime heating will lift temperatures to a high of 27 Celsius by mid-afternoon, then ease to 26 at sunset. Around 8:19 p.m., the UV index registers 7. Winds will strengthen to 27 kilometers per hour from the southwest, feeling noticeably brisk. No weather alerts are in effect. The dry, stable air mass ensures the day stays rain-free. Looking ahead, Wednesday holds a repeat of today's pattern with a clear sky, a high of 27 Celsius and a low of 17. Thursday, the ridge weakens slightly, allowing a modest moisture plume to creep in.
temperatures climb to a warm 30 Celsius, while a 30% chance of rain nudges the afternoon clouds. Friday, the moisture deepens, producing overcast conditions and a 40% rain probability as the high settles at 29 and the low at 21. Saturday mirrors Friday with overcast skies, a high of 27 and a 35% chance of showers. Sunday finally clears again, offering a high of 26, a low of 19 and a 25% rain odds, closing the workweek on a drier note. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic's still heavy. The Canadians just added Defenseman Maximilian Schubert, and the Gourmet Soup cruise sails tonight. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Eastbound Route 136 is closed at Exit 3 on Guy Street for storm sewer work, creating a bottleneck through downtown. Expect a steady queue that could add 15 to 20 minutes to your trip, and consider detouring onto Rue St. Laurent or the Ville Marie Express. Across the city, Boulevard Monk is shut between Rue St. Patrick and Rue de Nonville, forcing traffic onto Rue St. Laurent and Rue de la Commune. Likewise, Rue Wolfe between Boulevard René Lévesque Est and Rue St. Catherine Est remains blocked, with drivers rerouted onto Rue St. Urbain. Aside from those closures, most arterial routes, including the Descurie and the Autoroute 15, are moving at a normal pace, though the overall network is reporting heavy congestion. No transit delays have been reported this morning. Looking ahead to the afternoon, expect the same pattern, steady flow on the major highways, but keep an eye on the downtown corridors as work continues.
First up, the National Bank Open rolls into IGA Stadium for round 2 of the ATP Men's Tournament, bringing world-class tennis to the city and a chance to catch the next big name in action. Next, punk legends The Offspring take the stage at MTELUS, delivering high-energy hits for anyone craving a live rock night. For a more relaxed vibe, the Gourmet Soup cruise sets sail on the St. Lawrence River, pairing a 5-course soup tasting with DJ beats and skyline views, perfect for a brunch on the water. Finally, the Orchestre Metropolitain offers a free concert at the foot of Mount Royal, celebrating the mountain's 150th anniversary with soaring strings under the summer sky. Looking ahead, Daniel Caesar lands at the Bell Center tomorrow, and later this week the Bell Center will host a metal alt-rock showdown with Avenged Sevenfold and Good Charlotte. Plenty to choose from, so enjoy the day. And now here's Tyler with sports.
The Canadians are busy building this offseason. Here is what is moving. Montreal has locked up defenseman Maximilian Schubert on a 1-year, 2-way deal for the 2026 to 2027 season. Schubert came over from the Utah Mammoth in the trade that sent Joshua Roy out west. A 2-way structure tells you where he sits on the depth chart. He will need to earn his spot on the big club. Back-to-back playoff appearances have changed the conversation around Montreal's prospect pipeline. The 2024-25 squad snuck in on the final day of the season. Last year, the Canadians built their cushion early and won significantly more than they lost. Now the annual under-25 rankings are being reshuffled, graduates, departures, and fresh names all moving the needle. Alex Newhook is back on the rock for the 3rd annual Newhook and Friends Golf Classic in Newfoundland. Meanwhile, the Habs' off-season roster conversation is heating up. Questions around Alexander Carrier's role and how prospects LJ Mooney and Timofey Runtso carried themselves at the World Junior Summer Showcase are front of mind heading toward camp.
Lambert & Phils, the family-run boutique on St. Laurent in Mile End, has built a reputation for curating timeless clothing and accessories that reflect the neighborhood's creative spirit. Today the shop is grappling with new U.S. tariffs on imported fabrics, a policy shift that lifts wholesale costs and squeezes profit margins. Owner Marie-Claude says the added expense could force modest price hikes, a change that would ripple through the community of shoppers who rely on the store for affordable style. The boutique's struggle is a reminder that global trade decisions reach our street corners, shaping everyday choices. Lambert and Fils matters because it keeps Mile End's unique vibe alive, one carefully chosen piece at a time. Up next, a massive cheese recall in Côte-de-Coq and an investigation into a possible tornado after Repentigny's fierce storm.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Côte-de-Coq is recalling 31 white cheddar cheese products in Quebec over a potential listeria contamination risk. The recall affects multiple batches sold across the province. José Cartier has the full story.
Authorities have launched a recall of 31 white cheddar cheese items produced by Côte-de-Coq, the Quebec dairy firm, after tests indicated a possible listeria presence. The company announced the precautionary measure on August 4, 2026, urging anyone who purchased the affected cheese to stop consumption and return the products to the retailer for a full refund. The recalled batch includes several sizes and packaging formats, all bearing the brand's distinctive white cheddar label. Health officials are monitoring the situation but have not reported any confirmed illnesses linked to the cheese. Consumers are advised to check their freezers and pantry shelves for the specific product codes listed in the public notice. José Cartier, GMNA News, Quebec.
A severe storm hit Repentigny Sunday, prompting the Northern Tornadoes Project to investigate whether a tornado formed. Authorities are reviewing damage patterns. José Cartier has the full story.
Severe winds ripped through Repentigny Sunday, flattening trees, tearing roof sheeting, and scattering debris across streets. Eyewitnesses reported a sudden rotating funnel that touched down for a brief moment before vanishing as quickly as it appeared. The Northern Tornadoes Project has now opened an inquiry, dispatching meteorologists and damage assessors to determine if the storm indeed spawned a tornado. Teams are collecting high-resolution radar data and photographing torn structures, looking for the classic vortex signature. Local officials have recorded wind speeds that top the threshold for tornadic activity, and the project's preliminary models suggest the conditions were ripe for a brief twister. Residents are being urged to document any lingering damage for the ongoing study. José Cartier, GMNA News, Repentigny.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the local Sunrise. Today's glimpse into Ville Marie's ambitious Chinatown revitalization reminded us how vibrant our neighborhoods can become. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Until then, stay safe, enjoy the day, and keep an eye on the river levels as we work together.